Hello and welcome back to the Bold and Brash Podcast. We're here with episode 2, where we're going to be talking a lot about one of the great games of 2020, vAloRanT. I'm your co-host, Adrian. Then we have our co-host 2 over here with Carl.
Why am I 2?
Because you're 2 now.
I should be player 1. No, I'm player 1.
It's Mom said it's my turn on the Xbox.
Well, Mom said it's my turn with the serotonin.
Fine.
And dopamine. Wait a minute.
Anyways, and we have our special guest, the most specialist of guests in the whole wide world, SeagNoEvil or Ethen.
Hello.
This is
Okay.
Professional podcast. Great intro.
Than the first
10 out
take,
of
I'm gonna
10.
be honest.
Yeah.
10 out of 10, boys.
10 out of 10, that's right. So let's just kick it off. How are y'all's experience with vAloRanT?
I'd say it's pretty positive overall. I definitely think from my experience that beta was a little better than full game release.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, I feel like more of beta was a lot of learning the game and a lot of people that were getting into it. There was a lot of people, especially like in VC, that were like, they understand that like that's when it like actually they like just came out, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the community was like really accepting to the people that were new to the game. A lot of the people were like pretty understanding. And I think as it progressed more towards actual release date, even though when the game fully released and there were people like still new and coming into the game, there was a lot of the community I felt like that was like less inviting to those people more so than it was in beta.
Yeah, that is definitely true with just
I feel like it's
experiences
like a
I've had on
pattern.
myself.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pattern with like all video games and everyday like first release. Well, like multiplayer games, that is.
And it makes sense because in the beta there's a lot of people who are playing, right?
Yeah, and then like because of the company that it's made by, which is Riot, you know, people that were coming from people that had played League and like pretty much only League or like that kind of style of games that came to an otherwise like completely different set of a play style or like a different type of game in general. There's going to be a lot more people that are like new to the game or like have to learn a lot more things about the game. And so I just feel like beta was a lot more inclusive because that's when all of like the streamers or like people that were playing League had essentially just started to experience it. But then like as it progressively got towards the opening of the game, I feel like a lot of the people knew how to play the game, they knew what to do, and then it was kind of like a little slightly more toxic
Yeah,
in the community.
definitely.
Yeah.
And like scrolling through the vAloRanT subreddit, there's just a lot of posts saying, please be courteous of the new players that are coming in every day because you never know, this might be their first time playing
Right,
vAloRanT.
like
maybe just
rank
any
is a
FPS.
completely different. Sorry for cutting off, but like ranked is a completely different thing, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're new in ranked, that's a little different. That's
Of course.
you know, like if you just straight up just played your first 10 games of an FPS game that you're learning, maybe it's not the best idea to jump straight into ranked because the reason why people are going to be toxic to you there is because you need to learn how to play the game first, right?
Makes sense.
And so that's where like that's obviously going to be different. But just like normal unrated matches, normal just like heading in, just want to play the game, want to learn the game, want to have some fun with friends or something. I feel like the community was a little better with beta than how it is now.
That absolutely makes so much sense. Like, going back, I have a Smurf account that I just try to just play around with. Like, I don't try to actually just dog on some people. Like, I just want to, like, experience what it's like starting out new again.
Yeah.
And, like, I definitely came across some other Smurf accounts, and they were pretty toxic from my experiences.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing, right? It's like if you're gonna make a Smurf account, you know that you're gonna be like finding people that are like new to the game or like
Yeah.
don't have nearly as much experience as you do. So like people that like get upset at other people for like learning the game when you're on a Smurf account that's low level, it kind of makes like it doesn't make as much sense to me. Like obviously I know because you're experienced and it frustrates you to see people that like are like low in experience levels, like you shouldn't get mad at them because of that.
Yeah. And like with
Yeah.
Smurf accounts, I think it's important to have them. Like there's like such a split between the opinion on Smurf accounts, but I think it's a really great learning tool for people who are just starting out the game. Like, let's say you just started League, per se, and you matched with someone who's a Smurf, and they're like really good. It's always good to take their advice and just how they play and tips and tricks, which can really help you when you're learning more of the game.
Right. Like if you're having someone that's there that's like played the game to be with you, that like you're comfortable with, and they're not gonna like they're gonna help actually just like help you without like just like flaming you, right?
Yeah.
And they're just gonna like try to like help you improve. That's always really good to have, right?
Of course.
But yeah, that kind of there's like those kinds of people where like they'll flame you and then tell you what to do and how to improve, and that's always like a mixed feeling. Like you don't feel like trusting that person, even if like what they're saying may be true. Like they're like kind of like toxic to you beforehand, but then they tell you like what you should do after, and it's like kind of mixed feelings, and it's just like just don't be toxic. Just tell them what to do. Tell them how to get better.
I think people just need to be more kind when they're playing any video game, of course.
And in real life too.
Yeah.
Always be kind, kids. Remember that.
Always be kind. Yeah. That's the lesson for this podcast now.
I feel like I'm not gonna talk a lot this podcast.
I mean, you are our filthy casual, all right?
I am a casual in most video games.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think let's talk about let's go through like a progression. Let's go through like guns, characters, competitive.
Of course. Okay.
Alright.
So, Vandal or Phantom?
Neither.
I'm personally a Phantom fan.
I am do both.
I can do both, but I think more times other than not, if I'm just like autopilot, like opening my shop menu and I have like 6,000 credits, I'm going like 9 out of 10. I'm probably gonna go for the Phantom. Personally, I find situations where I sometimes need to use Vandal, like maybe if I need to do taps from a lot longer distance. But I feel like with the high rate of fire that you have with the Phantom, obviously a Vandal is going to one tap from anywhere. Yeah. But I feel like the higher fire rate on the Phantom is a little more responsive in terms of like really close corners.
Yeah, most definitely. That's where the Phantom shines, in my opinion.
So I do have a quick question though regarding the Phantom. Does the since it has a higher rate of fire, that means it has more recoil, right?
Not necessarily.
More bullets. Sorry, recoil isn't really the right term to use.
I don't think it does actually.
Yeah.
It's less damage. It's less damage at different. It has less damage values on less range. Vandal is 156 to the head on all ranges.
Yeah, it's consistent. Yeah.
Phantom is 156 to mid to close range, but then otherwise you're gonna have to 2-tap for a kill.
Yeah, but I mean it's a 2-tap, right? So wait, when you say 2-tap, is it like two times
two shots? 2 shots. Yeah. Two headshots will kill.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
For me, it's more of a a sound preference.
Just like the
because the Vandal is like so chunky, and it just sounds great when you're shooting it. And
it's like kind of like the same reason.
It's almost reminiscent of an AK, right? So
that's probably why you really liked the Guardian in
in beta. I used the Guardian a lot. Yeah, and it was so fun to play with.
Yeah, because you just tap on their head and you just hear chunk.
Yeah, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, I am a
200 credits less than the other weapons as well.
Yeah,
I am as Dave said, I am a filthy casual, so I like for some reason the Odin is just super fun. The Odin and the Ares. Ares is just baby Odin.
It's
exactly.
It's a point and click adventure with the Odin, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
The shotguns on the other hand,
I never mess with shotguns unless it's for the
main. Like the shotguns are fun in any game, but like shotguns in this game is kind of interesting.
I've found cases in competitive where it's actually pretty useful, especially in cases where like it's kind of an eco round, where it's like it's not like super like desperation eco, but it's kind of like a mid eco round where it's like you don't have the round forward momentum. You're kind of on a couple round loss streak, and like you have like maybe like 4,000 credits each. And so you kind of like, not everyone, right? Yeah. Some people can still have like a Phantom or Vandal or whatever. but like the people that want to play kind of close corners, like a Phoenix or like a Jet, a Reyna or something that can like, kind of play a little closer, like the duelist essentially, right? And playing those close corners with things that you can kind of push out aggressively or hold aggressively with a shotgun, I think it kind of helps, especially if you're like a Jet, right? The thing with shotguns is shotguns are the only weapons in the game with inner accuracy. So Jet can kind of like go wherever she wants and still hit people with the shotgun.
That is true. I mean, if you are trying to be aggro with a shotgun, I feel like it's doable, but I feel like the judge, right? Is that the right one? The judge?
Basically,
yeah, I feel like the judge would be more viable simply because it's semi-automatic. The Bucky is interesting because there's the right click feature.
I've honestly found the Bucky to be better for my experience because okay, so let's see. I believe it's split. B site on split, right? It's the one where a lot of people like to plant right on that box, like behind that box.
I love holding a shotgun there. It's so fun.
So what I found was I planted there. There's a Jet that was essentially like on the other side of the site, and I just right clicked with the Bucky and I one shot it.
It's a beefy
gun.
gun.
So here's the interesting thing about the right click feature of the Bucky.
It's essentially a mid-range slug.
It doesn't work. Well, it's not really a slug. It just tightens
it's not a slug. It just tightens the spread.
It just tightens the pellets. Now, here's the interesting thing. It doesn't work when you're like point blank. I don't understand how that works, but that's.
Well, it's kind of like a mechanic they did with like Roadhog in Overwatch. Roadhog has essentially the same thing where left click is a really like close range spread, but then right click it shoots a small. It's a mid-range blast, but essentially it shoots a compression and then it shoots the shotgun blast. And that shotgun blast that it shoots after the compression blast is like kind of more mid. It's a little smaller, so like if you want to like tag some like little headshots in there with that, you can do that as well. But there's like a sweet spot to it where if you use that in short range, then that means that it's not going to really do that much damage because the compression doesn't do that much damage.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I think it kind of works like that. Like obviously short range, left click. Medium range, right click.
I must say that I really enjoy the fact that you can ADS with most weapons in this game. Like in comparison to CS:GO, right? I've played a little bit of CS:GO. It's really strange not ADSing and relying on hipfire. Like weapons in this game, you can ADS.
I feel like that differs. I feel like it kind of differs on the games you've played and like how your playstyle is. If you're someone that's like used to the CS playstyle where you're not having to ADS, where you kind of most of it is very reliant on hipfire, or at least shown to rely on hipfire. I feel like the way vAloRanT does it is it's kind of like a medium ground for both worlds, except I feel like hip firing is still more consistent unless like you're using an Odin or something. Because how or like I don't know, I just feel like it's a lot easier to aim, especially like from my experience, I feel like it's easier to aim because you get to see a lot more around you. And I feel like the zoom, if you know where people are, the zoom kind of like disorients me, like in that sense, I guess.
Makes sense.
Because and like what's kind of confusing is I primarily play Destiny 2, and PvP in Destiny 2 is pretty much all ADS. You don't hit fire in Destiny, pretty much. But the reason why is because you have a radar that tells you where people are, so you can pre-fire, and it's also a little more like kind of like open ranged, and then you can play it. It's a lot faster paced in my opinion. And so in that sense, ADSing is a little more crucial because in those gunfights, the people are most likely going to be like either in front of you or you're gonna absolutely know where they are. When you're playing vAloRanT, there's sound, there's callouts, and that's pretty much, and there's what's in front of your screen. So when you're playing in that sense, I feel like if you have the more consistent option of hipfire in like games like that in CS, I personally feel like hipfire is like kind of like what makes that different, and like the experience that hipfire is like different in that game from others. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, like for me, I come from a lot of Rainbow Six Siege where ADSing is super crucial, right? And not just like Rainbow Six, but like other games. Call of Duty, I guess ADSing is pretty important.
Yeah, the maps
I
are
guess.
pretty big on some of those games.
Yeah. And then just a bunch of other like tactical FPS games. I find that ADSing comes natural to me, and it's really important. So the fact that they have it in Valorant, that's cool.
It's nice.
But
It is nice.
I still have to deal with the bullet spread,
Mm.
Yeah.
which is
I think
a little
I
funky.
think it's good on certain weapons. I feel like the Phantom, the Spectre, which are like pretty much the main weapons that I use, it makes the cursor, or like it makes your reticle kind of go up a little too much, and I feel like it's a little easier to just control if you're hip firing.
Here's my issue though.
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
get why they have to make the Stinger and the Bulldog a burst when you ADS. I don't. It's really annoying. I
Why
mean,
not?
like, yeah,
I think it's just for the variety. I think that it's a little interesting how they do that, but I feel like it kind of just gives them a little more of a variety to them. I don't think they necessarily need to have the same function ADS. I feel like that would make Stinger a little broken at early stages. If you
Mhm.
could
mean,
control
if
this,
you're-
because it's meant to be a close range SMG
yeah,
that you're gonna kind of use for those kind of close corners where you can just burst people.
yeah, but like that's why it's meant for CQC, right? So I don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying. Like if it's just annoying. It's not convenient. It's definitely thrown me off and messed me up several occasions. I could just be complaining. I don't know, but
Yeah. Well, for me, like, I'm basically a Valorant addict now because I played Siege like you, of course, and ADSing super crucial to the game. But I think it's more like you just get used to the play style of Valorant. Like for me, with a Stinger, yes, it's made for CQC, but what I've also been doing a lot is that, like, let's say you're on split, you have vents and then markets, right? That long view. ADSing with a Stinger there can get you a kill. So it's more like knowing when you need to ADS and when you don't that makes the Stinger or like the Bulldog really good.
I mean the burst fire or the burst function, the rate of fire on the Bulldog is faster than when it is fully automatic. So it's bad. And I believe if you get 2 in the chest and then or like 3 in the not 3 in the chest, that's not a kill with the Bulldog, right?
I've never touched a Bulldog since like Spike Rushes. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's an okay AR. I don't
I think
typically.
I think the reason why Bulldog is actually used a lot in the competitive scene in early stages if you frag out on a round, and that's due to the fact that if you 2-tap to the head with just the normal auto rifle, then it's pretty deadly at all ranges. Compared to a lot of the guns that you're going to be picking up on round 2, which would either normally be pistols, a Spectre, right? Spectre is going to take 3 shots to the head.
Weird.
I'm
That's
pretty
so
sure
weird.
it's around 3. Yeah.
It's around 3 shots, but obviously it's a little faster. But I think the people that play in those competitive games or in professional play, I think it's more of like the consistency of it.
Yeah,
Especially
makes
because they're not worried about aim. They're worried about what's going to win them the most situations, right? Because obviously all of them are going to be good in that regard. They already have to be if they want to be like professional.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bulldog is a pretty good. Like, let's say you got the Bulldog, right? And it's if you're able to land 2 in the chest and 1 in the head, that's pretty easy with the burst. Because as long as you line it up around chest level or shoulder level, I think the natural recoil will guide you.
The other thing about the Bulldog is that round 2, if someone doesn't have light shields, they're going to get 1-tapped by a headshot, or if they get tapped in the head by a Bulldog and they do have small shields, that's 25. If they get tapped in the head, then they're going to be left with 14 HP because it does 116 to the head. So they're going to be left with 114, or not 114. They're going to be left with 14, and unless you're able to get out of the rate of fire somehow, or just by chance like a teammate kills them, you're going to be left in like a really dire situation either way. Either
Is there
the
a damage
teammate-
drop off for the Bulldog?
No.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't believe so.
Oh,
I don't believe so.
What about the Guardian? Is there?
No.
No.
Okay. Well,
I
that makes sense.
know there's
It's
none of that
DMR.
for sure.
It's a DMR. That makes sense.
I remember using the Guardian so much in the beta. Like, it's not even like very early stages. Like the first or second week after I got my key.
Yep. I remember. I was there. Well,
Yeah, you freaking got it when, like,
I got it the day of. I got
Yeah,
it
the
like
day
towards
of.
the end of the day.
and then I got mine. I got like mine like a day or two after.
Yeah.
I remember I had, so I have 3 monitors, and on 2 of the monitors I had 4 streams each.
Even though it doesn't matter.
Even though it doesn't matter, but it looked cool and it's on my Instagram.
Yep.
At Adrian's, shameless plug.
Bruh.
And then it's like I didn't play anything. I just let that chill. And then the next day, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna look at one. And I'm pretty sure I went to Yasuo's stream, and then I just got it. Like I remember I watched Summit for the longest time, but then Yasuo gave it to me in one day. So I'm like, wow, okay, thanks.
Yeah, Yasuo is how I got mine as well. So for me, in terms of getting Valorant, ever since the 10-year anniversary for Riot, let me search this up real quick. I don't know when that was, but I believe that was towards November, or it was in the winter, and then they released footage of like a really early Valorant. This was in October, actually.
Oh wow.
So ever since October 15th last year, I have been waiting for this thing. I've watched all the update videos and such, and then they released a kind of teaser stream. And then the day after that, they released that streamers were going to be playing the closed beta. And if you got a key from watching these certain streamers, then you could get a key as well. I then was like really hyped for it that night because the next day was the streams where you could get the keys and whatnot. And I couldn't sleep at all. So I decided, you know what? I'm just not gonna sleep.
GG easy.
Straight up, yeah, GG easy. I didn't sleep. I woke up, or I came to my PC the next day, and then I just popped on Yasuo's stream. I just kept it there. I found that if you have multiple streams, it doesn't matter. It's just one out of however many people chance every so and so minutes. I passed out. My mom got a little upset that I pulled an all-nighter because she found out because of the way I was sleeping. Like I was hollering over here on my bed. Like you could be like in the middle of Guam and you could hear me snoring.
What the heck? Okay.
And so she was like, "Why you didn't sleep on?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Okay, whatever." And so then I got the game like I want to say 3 hours after I woke up. And then I straight up was just like, I was screaming. I ran out of my room. I ran back in my room. I DM'd Adrian. Adrian like swore for me to die. Like,
yeah, I did do that.
and then I was just sitting in training range, and I was like, "This is the best day of my life." And I think the first game I played was Sage, because Sage seemed the most interesting to me because I felt I think at that time Sage had like the biggest skill cap in terms of what you could do with like the wall, with the angles, with like the positioning. So it seemed interesting to me. And on top of that, you can heal yourself, you can heal teammates, you can revive teammates, and all that kind of stuff. And it looks like you could do some pretty fun clutch stuff with that as well. And so the 2 characters I really wanted to play were Phoenix and Sage, and that's pretty much where I left that. Was because like, yeah, but this like the general hype of the game, I just felt like this was what really got me into it. It was a lot of fun.
I remember I forgot who I played my first game, but it most likely was Jet.
I think it was Jet. I'm pretty sure it was Jet.
And from that point on, I was a Jet main for life, bro.
And I think I got you hooked on Jet because I showed you the smoke mechanics. So Kefri, who was used to be an Overwatch streamer, Kefri was showing on stream Jet's like kind of cloud mechanics, which was essentially which is her smoke, as you know,
Yeah.
where it has reticle based directional influence, which means wherever you aim your cursor, it'll change the direction of where the smoke goes. And I was showing that with Adrian because like you can like kind of like curl it around like sights.
Yeah, you can wrap it around a corner and then cover that entire spot.
And that kind of stuff. And then yeah, I think that's like that kind of aspect where like you have so many things that you can do with Jet as well.
Yeah.
It was like kind of like got him hooked. Her mobility, the knives, which were we called the funny throughout beta.
Yeah. It's because I was just so whenever I pop ult, right? I'm Jet. I'm popping ult. I have knives.
This was like for the majority of beta. Nowadays it's a little different, but
yeah, nowadays it's much better because I actually
occasionally we do see the funny still, but
yeah. So the funny is whenever I pop ult and with all 5 knives, that's really it, right?
Yeah, he would pop ult. Jet would say, "Watch this." He'd miss all 5 knives and lose,
and I die.
I have a question about the
he-
knife. How much damage does each knife do if you level
50.
So it's
it's a 3-shot. Okay. If
Yeah,
it's
so
a
you have 5
headshot-
knives. Yeah, if a headshot is a 1 shot. No, it's 1 shot on the head.
Oh no, it's 1 shot on head, and then it's 3 shot on the body, or 2
Yep.
shot on the body.
3. So 5
depending on
knives.
armor. Yeah, after his armor.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have 150, then it's 3 shot.
Yeah. But what makes Jet's ult nice, I guess, especially for Jet, is the fact that they're high damage projectiles and they have inner accuracy.
It's literally point and click.
Exactly.
Except for the right click.
Yeah, because I remember, I think it was like a couple weeks ago, like near when the game was actually released, I went into the shooting range, and I did the streak of 100 or eliminate 100. I basically did like 4 or 5 of those only using my ult. And what I did was I just try to get myself in super uncomfortable places. So I'd like updraft and then dash in a random direction, flip my mouse around, and then basically try to track onto wherever the bots spawn. And that has definitely made me so much better using just like getting yourself in like weird spots where you're most likely gonna be in weird spots in actual games. It's a good way to train.
Yeah. What I really love to see / love seeing is whenever it's like a 1v like something and it's more than one person, Jet says watch this, but like as she's saying watch this, like it says watch this and then she gets tabbed in the floor.
That it's so funny. Like there's so many people that do that. Like Viper. Like get out of my way. But you're like right there, so it's like get out of my, and then she just dies. She's just gone.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. Like I did that to a person on Bind, and it was just like they were trying to protect B side, I'm pretty sure, and I just.
And then you were just like, watch what?
Yeah, like hello, you okay?
What happened, bro? You told me to watch something.
Yeah.
I think when Omen was, or like when people saw Omen, I think a lot of people kind of just saw him as like a fun, like edgy character to play.
Yeah.
Edgy character.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole like theme of it is like just kind of like more like kind of like a cool aspect, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the character I felt like was kind of like you can get out of situations, you can teleport out, you can smoke a lot of areas, you can put it like precisely where you want the smokes and all that kind of stuff. His ultimate is really useful if you want to like teleport behind people and go sneaky. But then you can do stuff where it's like you can combine your smoking to teleport, where you smoke an area, you teleport into that smoked area, and then like you like end up like coming behind someone because they can't hear the teleport in the smokes.
Yeah.
Or you use your ultimate to like just shove it like right on top of a site, then you cancel it so that way you can just use it for intel.
It's like it's so good.
Yeah, I think when Omen was first like released in open beta, he was put pretty much in like the lowest tier, and that was pretty much because the only thing he could really do was the funny teleport thing. But if people face check smokes, that doesn't work. So then that's pretty much gone, and his ultimate couldn't be canceled back then either. So then he was completely. It was just pretty much useless. Not to mention his paranoia, which is like the kind of flash he can do. The hitbox for it was really small, so it was kind of hard to hit. And now it's like ridiculously big.
Yeah, it really works.
It's really
well.
annoying when I paranoia my teammates more than the actual enemy.
Yeah. Because on the indicator on the minimap, it shows like the sides, and if any of your teammates are like behind you but still on the sides, then it still hits them.
Like their fingernail would be within the range, within the indicator of their finger. And they get paranoid while they're freaking clearing an angle. And I'm like,
that's always fun when you just blind a teammate on accident.
Yeah, bro, I've blinded myself more as Phoenix.
Oh my gosh.
Like I throw the flat. Okay, I wish I was able to. I like, let's say, you know how left click, right click, right? Left of an angle. I wish I could like middle click my mouse so I could throw it just straight ahead of me.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Whenever I play Phoenix, to make sure I don't flash myself, is I like hug the corner or hug the wall, and then I put my cursor into the wall instead of just having it forward. So that when it curves more aggressively, like as close to the corner as possible, but still clears it.
Yeah.
But my doctrine when it comes to flashing, or just like kind of just trying to go around an angle, I swing wide, I cut the pie, you know? I swing wide, so typically what I do, I'm like not up against the wall, I throw the flash like right in the middle of the hallway, so that way it has the most visibility and most people are disoriented by it. But I swing wide around the corner, so that way I'm able to catch any threats.
Makes sense.
Welcome to our vAloRanT guide for dummies, brought to you by SeagNoEvil, Tendyman, and Dr. Bango.
Yes, sir.
The most incompetent people to give advice on.
Yeah, let's talk. So, remember how scary Omen was when he teleports sometimes?
Yeah.
The new scary person is Reyna.
Yeah, so let's talk about characters. Let's talk about agents.
I'm working on her contract right now, actually.
Oh wow.
You know, it's a good contract to do. Let's talk about agents. So, we currently have.
I thought you said Asians.
Bruh.
They're pretty good. I like the Filipino kinds. Totally not biased.
I think you're kind of biased.
There are currently what 11, 12 agents in vAloRanT.
Let's count them out.
I think it's 11.
I believe it's 11. Yeah.
All right, let's go one by one, right?
We got Jet.
We already talked. So we already talked
Phoenix,
about Jet. We talked about Phoenix.
Reyna.
Actually, yeah, we had Reyna.
So we're gonna what I'm like wanting to
Viper.
I was gonna want to talk about the characters. We're gonna like compare it to old beta rays and current Reyna.
Oh gosh.
So the
better
reason
or
why
worse?
Hold on. Is because essentially this is how it works. So when Riot was talking about how they wanted character abilities to be, if you don't know in vAloRanT, you also have to buy your abilities. Each character has 3 abilities. 2 of them, or I believe 2 or 3 characters have passives, and and then you will have an ultimate. Ultimate you get from either picking up an ult orb, which there's 2 on each map. You can get it by defusing, by planting, by killing someone, or by dying to get your ult points. And the amount of ult points you need for an ultimate varies up between each character. It can go from I believe
usually 6 or 7.
5.
I'm pretty sure.
It starts from 5 and it goes up to 7.
Oh yeah.
On like the variations. And so essentially, what Riot wanted all these abilities to be was not like something like super complicated like a League character, where it has like all these different things where you can like do like you like hammer your keyboard and then like something new comes out that's like wasn't intrinsically a part of it. It's more of like they're all utility. Like they all have their different uses and different occasions, but they're all mainly utility, right? So Jet has smokes, Brimstone has smokes, Omen has smokes, Omen has a blind, Phoenix has a blind, Phoenix has a molly, so does Brim, right? And so a lot of it was supposed to be like your CSGO styled utility. But then we talk about closed beta raise.
Oh,
And
gosh.
grenades were all a part of CS:GO. That part is nothing new to us, or nothing. Yeah, nothing new to us. But what Raze had was essentially a nade where it would explode, but then the nade then explodes into tiny parts, and if that gets
Cluster
thrown into a
bomb,
core, it's essentially like cluster bombs, right?
Yeah.
which is
Where
a
if
war
you throw
crime.
if you throw that into if a small corridor or something with people in it, they can either die from the explosion or die from the explosions afterwards. And although like she's a lot more balanced now than she was in closed beta,
Yeah.
I think everyone's like gonna remember how broken that was because so she has and to talk about her ultimate as well. We're thinking when we talk about utility, right? Jet has skill like very big like skill shots, right? Or like very like tiny skill shots, right? Phoenix has an ult that makes him invincible, so that way like he can like try to rush into a site and get intel. Omen also can go in for intel. Brimstone clears out an area, but then Raze straight up has a rocket launcher that she can just shove into an alleyway or something, and it just blows up a bunch of people.
It's fun.
She has, and it's fun, right? But I think to a lot of people when Raze came out, kind of defied the expectation of what they would call utility, I guess. Because
Yeah.
on top of that, right, she had her satchels, and her satchels can essentially like knock her into the air. And so if there was a wall or something, she could essentially pop her ult, use her satchels to like get to the perfect angle in the air or something, and then shoot it there. And so I think that was kind of like the beginning of, or like not the beginning, but like kind of like one of those cases where it's like new character, really OP.
Do we talk?
And they did.
Do we talk about when she had 2 grenades?
Oh yeah,
She had
Yeah.
2 frag grenades.
She had 2 cluster bombs, and it's so crazy.
That's
Flag
funny.
grenades. And what was even more funny is if you had a really good sage with you, because if the sage knew where they were and slow orbed them and then walled them off from walking back or something stupid, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Those bombs are killing you, no matter if you want it or not. But Riot listened to feedback. They have nerfed the damage on her bombs. They have nerfed the damage on pretty much everything. They haven't gutted her completely, but
Like, she's still a good player.
yeah, she's still a good agent, right? Like the nades can still kill people, but she doesn't have 2 of them,
Yeah,
and
it's
they
only
don't do reasonable amounts of damage from you being like 1 millimeter, like or being like from like I don't know the other hallway. So she's balanced now, but like in terms of like how the community felt about her, it was I wouldn't say like very good.
Yeah.
But then we talk about news character that they added on release. which
Spooky,
is
scary
Reyna.
lady.
Spooky, scary skeletons send shivers down your spine.
Shush. That's gonna get us
I can't.
copyrighted.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, cut that. And
Lamau. Anyways,
So
so
now
Reyna.
we talk about Reyna, which was the new duelist. Can we talk about how all the new characters were only duelists? Like we're gonna have the issue like in Overwatch.
what do you
where
mean?
everyone wants
Sage
to-
is a duelist. Sage is totally a duelist.
Obviously.
He's just a really aggressive healer. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
I'm-
think of it this way, right? Let's say,
Wait, what? I said new characters. What?
what do you mean? Sage came out yesterday.
Makes sense?
All right. So while we put Carl in rehab,
Wow, that's kind of not cash money. Can we get an F in chat, guys?
Can we get an F in the comments?
so Reyna has one of the best blinds in the game, which is essentially an orb that she can throw out. She can throw through walls. She can just throw it in the open. And if you see it, or if you can see the eye, it essentially throws out an eye, essentially. If you can see that eye, you will be blinded. You can shoot it, but you have to, like, obviously kill it before you can actually start seeing again. And what makes this even better is that teammates don't get blinded by this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good to push into sites with, and it's just generally like one of the best blinds in the game.
It does have a range or a radius, though.
It does have a radius.
So if you're out of it, like a lot of places, like you would use the Reyna eye on bind A site through A short, and if you're on A heaven, you wouldn't get blinded. And like they would be pushing in through that time, and if you have an op, you can kill them. That easy.
Yep.
But still, like on
But-
closer quarter areas, you're gonna get blinded and they're gonna push. Yeah.
How does invisibility work exactly? That's her E.
We'll get to that in just
Yeah.
a sec. So that's like what makes your kid really good. Now let's talk about the fun parts about her kid,
Oh,
shall we?
gosh.
So Reina has a passive where when you kill someone, they will drop a soul orb for a few seconds, and you can do one of two things with this soul orb. You can either use, by default controls, I believe, use your Q, which will give you a heal effect where it'll essentially heal you as long as until the orb runs out, and as long as it's in your line of sight. And it can heal you and even give you an overshield, which is essentially the shield you would buy in the shop. But this can be utilized in early rounds, because early rounds you can't buy a full shield, but it can overheal you to like essentially have that shield round one,
Yeah.
which is what makes it really strong. And let's say you need to get out of a fight. Her E is whenever that orb is dropped. Let's say you get a frag because you're in like a sneaky spot, right? But not everyone knows you're in that sneaky spot, so you have to get out, right? So then if you E the orb, you go invincible and you gain a small burst of speed, so you can get out of the area and reposition.
Invincible or wait?
You're invincible. Like there's still a slight silhouette of Reina.
Oh,
You
sorry.
can-
Invisible. Sorry.
We'll
That's
get-
just, I thought y'all said invincible.
No, she is invincible, but you can.
is invincible. Like she can't get hit. You can't hit her.
Yeah.
When she's invisible?
No, okay. So her okay. Let us explain. So when she uses that ability, she's a little bit faster, and she is basically transparent, but you can see her outline. You can't. You can shoot through her, but she won't get any damage. So basically, you can use that to escape an area.
Yeah. So like what I'm saying is again, right? You can.
Can she shoot?
No.
No, she can't shoot.
Okay, that makes sense.
But one of the things that I've seen that are kind of smart is like if you kill someone, but then there's like a raise, then Raze finds out where you are and they throw a bomb on you. You can like hold you can keep the soul in your line of sight, and then the moment the bombs are about to detonate, you use the invincibility, so you can still stay in the position, but you're not going to take damage from the explosions.
And now let's talk about her crazy ult. So.
Her X ult.
So when she activates it, she gets faster fire rate. What else?
Keeping all the same damage values.
Yeah.
She gets essentially your screen is slightly dimmed out. However, all of the enemies are kind of like a highlighted glowing, either depending on whatever your color settings are nowadays. A light color of whatever the enemy color is for your screen. And so it's really easy to see people. You have increased rate of fire. When you kill someone, you automatically start healing from it, but it doesn't actually use the orb. And if you use your E, so essentially if you kill someone, it automatically uses your Q, but it doesn't actually like use your Q. It just starts healing you when you kill someone in your ultimate. Then if you use your E, that makes you invisible.
And it's the most scariest thing ever.
Invisible, as in like same level of invisibility.
As
or
in, no one can see you.
no one.
At all.
You. It's literally like a pop, or like
She literally like old animations, like gone. Like you cannot see her. You can hit her, but you cannot see her.
That's...
So what happens a lot is she'll use her ult, get a kill, go invisible, and then she can pop out anywhere to your left, right, behind you, and you don't know. You're gone. You're dead by then.
Not to mention the duration of her ultimate extends when she kills someone.
So let's say you're holding a site. You have 4 people on a site because let's say one of them died. She uses her ultimate, and every time she kills someone, duration up, healed, she goes invisible, and she can kill everyone else. And she Doesn't she have like 4 of those?
Yep.
Because that's how her 2 abilities work. You basically buy up to 4.
First of all, there are 100 each, which is super broken in my opinion.
Super cheap for what it actually is. But you can either use like 3 to heal and then 1 to go invincible, or you can just use all 4 to go invisible with your ult. And it's so broken.
And again, she still has her really, really strong flash or near sight that she can do. So while she's pushing this sight, on top of the fact that she can go invisible, on top of the fact that she has a higher rate of fire, on top of the fact that she can heal, you may not even be able to see her before you're dead.
She just pops around so easily, and you don't know what happened until the round ends.
Really just don't know what happened. And I believe it's been how many hotfixes? 2 or 3 since the game's come out?
Yep.
Maybe 4. It's been like either like somewhere between 2 to 4 hotfixes, and we have heard like pretty much no news about Reina getting nerfed. At least I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It's unfortunate. But yeah,
that's Reina for you.
That's Reina. Those are the characters. The characters are overall pretty balanced, but then you have Reina.
So what would a nerf look like for her?
What would a nerf, in my opinion, would be the rate that she gets healed, would probably be the cost of her E and her Q.
Honestly, I think 200 would be fine. 200 or 300.
I think maybe 150. I'm thinking like 150. Because at the same time, it does have 4 stacks, right? And if you're thinking about a full buy, that's 800.
That is true.
For 200, I'm saying. So 150, that would be 600, which isn't terrible.
Yeah, it's more manageable.
Yeah. And then what I would say is like, I don't know, the Empress thing, maybe I don't think getting a kill needs to extend her ultimate. I mean, it's already really long on its own.
Yeah.
The duration of the ultimate, I'd say. It doesn't need to extend. I think the rate of fire, I mean, I think that's okay. I think the highlighting, that's all okay. I think it's just the rate that it heals, the range it can heal from, because as long as you can see that soul, that thing can be like where you could hear my freaking like snoring from, like in the middle of Guan. And you would, as long as like you can see the little speck of that eye, you can heal from it.
Yeah, like on Haven from like C long, right? You can still get it from there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's Reina's super fun.
Reina's an interesting character.
She's I think in the more competitive scene, she's seen more of a solo queue character, because if you time it properly, you're gonna have people that can just immediately take out the eye, and then you can see her when she goes. A lot better with predictions. They're always aiming head level, so she's not like 100% gonna win those super aggressive invisibility plays or whatever. But she's still like an A tier, I believe, in a lot of tier lists for like Valorant agents.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Viper though. Viper has been seen as quite the interesting character.
Like her, she's fun. She's good for sight control.
Which was the intention of why she was made, but she's actually one of the worst characters in the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she still needs a lot more buffs.
Have you seen Jason with the shotgun? I remember one game. Jason was playing Viper in what was the map called with 3 sites?
Haven,
right? So it was the freaking what was the one? I think it was C. Yeah, it was C site. I remember he'd like hide in the cubbyhole, pop ult, and then just pick people off the judges to try to go for a defuse. It was the funniest and most glorious thing I've ever seen.
And right, in those cases, Viper is good, but the issue is that even if there's like multiple people in those cases, I had like one, like, and I mean one, as in literally one time when I played a Viper in beta, where not too many people, like a lot of people were scared to go in her ultimate, but then you could essentially just get an essential like team wipe, because they come in, they get weakened and all that. But I think people have more realized that like if you phase in and out of the smoke, you're going to regen from the smoke, and if you just push together, you can pretty much just kill the Viper that's in there anyways. And I think the buffs to her that were made recently are good. I just I think her utility is not very heavily emphasized. I feel like if you run through any of her abilities, like you should be like being like melted. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. It is poison, right?
It is poison, right? Like
Her
why do you
floor
read
thing
them?
hurts a lot.
Yeah, I like what they did with the basically her molly. I like what they did with that.
They call it poison dart trap or something. It's a molly, and
Her wall is also cool. I like it because
her
it's
wall is
super
good too.
long.
Her wall is good too, and
It's good for
and
cutting up the site.
it's permanent. It's permanent as well.
Yeah.
But I feel her ultimate and her toxic orb, which are two of her abilities, two of her four abilities, which is half of her kit. I feel like they should do the same, maybe not the same effect as the Molly for se, because the toxic orb and the ultimate have a really big radius. But I just don't know how I feel about it. Obviously, you need to have counterplay, but she's just not that strong of an agent compared to a lot of the others that exist in.
Like with the toxic orb, I'm always able to just walk right through it, and like I don't. It's like it's not really a deterrent at that point.
Right, and like especially if you're like the entry fragger, you're going to run through it either way. So unless it's like doing something like crucial to you, then there's no there. Why like even bother with that being there?
Mm-hmm.
What I think they should also do to the toxic orb is you can give it the same the whole like it will it'll you can like walk through it or whatever, right? It doesn't do much damage and you can regen it back, but it should give you the debuff that the Molly gives you.
Yeah.
Which is for a few seconds after you come out of the poison, then you have increased damage to weapons. And I think that would be pretty balanced.
I feel like Viper and also needs just better vision in her ult.
Yeah.
Because like it does highlight them red.
It does highlight them red, which is nice. But it's still kind of smoky.
Yeah, and like basically by the time you see them, they're most likely already seeing you.
Yeah, you're both going to see each other at the same time. It's just that they're highlighted and you're not.
Yeah, which like it can help for some people. Yeah, it could help for some people, but like you're still seeing each other at the same time, and you're still gonna shoot each other at the same time. It's really whoever gets head first or has a better gun. So I think better visibility, or for her at least, in her own ult would be pretty good.
That'd be cool to see. Yeah, I want to think of cases where like I want to think of like kind of a meta where like a lot of the characters are kind of on their own standings, like where like they're all like pretty equal in terms of balance. I think before they added Raze, it was pretty much like that. Personally. Because in the first stages of beta, I think Viper still was there, but like not many people like knew how to play around it, so she was pretty much on par. Once people found out in that like super like pretty much the alpha, like she was probably like either the same ground or like one grade below. And now I think I'm pretty sure right now she's just at the bottom.
Yeah, she's like one of the worst on all the tier lists.
Yeah, but we'll probably see some changes. It'd be cool to see we got a few buffs here and there. It'd be nice to have Reyna get nerfed in terms of the healing and probably cost and how much the little like soul eating abilities cost. But that'd be nice. But go ahead.
I've seen the leaks of the new character or new agent.
Heard.
Yeah, it's like this. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen it at this point if you follow VALORANT, but it's basically a blue crystal guy.
Xerath.
Sure, they're adding Xerath to the game, dude.
That'd be funny because now you can like main that character because you main Xerath in League.
Easy, right? Yeah, but Jett is so fun because you're watching people's back from the front.
Oh yeah, but you can also play both.
I can also play both. That could be my second. I mean, how would they make a Xerath for VALORANT?
Oh my, that literally is just like a Raze played over again. An ultimate that like just rockets you from the sky.
A universal will they ever add a universal ultimate?
They're not gonna do it.
I mean, besides from like
Omen.
Yeah, besides from Omen, I guess maybe even like Cypher's ult.
Yeah, that's pretty much global as well. Yeah, I don't think they should. Nothing that damages.
Yeah.
For sure, nothing that
I mean-
damages. I think movement and clear, I think is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And like Brimstone, excuse me, Brimstone, you still have to get in range of. It's not completely
Yeah.
global. It has range, but it's still not global.
And like I forgot where I heard it from, but it's like they're every act or season they're planning on doing one map and 2 agents.
Interesting.
I think that's what I've.
That means we're gonna get another agent this act then.
Yeah, like either this month or maybe like late July.
Unless they count.
Not July.
Unless they count Rays,
Yeah.
which I don't think they did because there was no technical act back then because Rays was released in the closed beta.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean that's pretty much the agent situation, and we're at pretty much an hour,
Yeah,
and we still have we now have the ranked system to talk about, and this
Oh my gosh.
this is the fun part because Adrian is probably about to break the keyboard and monitor in front of his screen.
The rank system of Valorant. A Riot Games Valorant. It's weird and quirky and exactly like the other girls. Except worse. So let me talk about my experience with ranked. Placement matches are 5 games. And I won every single game. 4 of those games, I was above 30k. Which in a normal Valorant game, of anything over like, I want to say 20, 25 tends to be really good, right? So 4 games of those, I'm above 30k. I get put into gold 2, and I'm like, oh, alright, fine. I was aiming for higher, maybe platinum would be nice. Yeah.
But at the same time, right? Like MMR had the terrible MMR system. We're gonna tell it later.
Yeah.
That also plays a factor this, and that you really can't help, and it's just a really terrible system in a way.
Mm-hmm. And then the first game out of placements, I'm gold 2. It wasn't a great game. It was like the 6th game. The 6th game wasn't a great game. I was playing with Ethen, I'm pretty sure. And it was alright. I think we were on split, but it wasn't the best.
I think, yeah, he and I were like near mid fragging. I think we were like
Yeah.
mid top fragging.
Yeah, we were. I don't think we were very close to positive, but I think we weren't
We
completely.
were like 2 to 3 kills off.
Yeah, somewhere around that. And this Riot game, they took me down an entire rank just because of that. From gold 2 to gold 1. Why? I played 5 games, did fantastic, and 1 bad game somehow brought me down a level.
And this is where I want to talk about something. So, in a lot of ranked games, you have what you call a rank point system, where it's like, so I'll say Overwatch and I'll say League. You can talk about Siege,
Okay.
and CS:GO if you know that one or not. But in Overwatch, how it works is you play it based off of SR. You play, I believe, 5. You play 5 placement matches now for each role. If you're you're comfortable in tank, support, or damage, or offense characters. When you place, you're given a set SR. If it's like anywhere to 1499, that's bronze, so on and so forth till Grandmaster, which is like 4,000. But there is a number-based system that lets you know what portion of what rank you're placed in and how much you're going to lose or how much you're going to gain. Typically, in a lot of games, when it comes to placements, after placements, you're either going to gain a lot or lose a lot. As in, like, it's both. Like, if you win matches, you're going to gain a lot. If you lose matches, you're going to lose a lot. And so, like in Overwatch, normally you're going to be gaining 20, losing 20 to 30. Or vice versa, gaining 30, losing 20, or maybe even 10. It depends on your MMR. And so in Adrian's case, right? in like an Overwatch based system, if he was placed in platinum, or if he was placed in gold, right? We're in like gold 2, right? So like let's say this is like 2250 in Overwatch, which is mid gold essentially. If he's in 2250 and if he like would at least be given more info on what his stance was in gold 2, it would be kind of nice to know, like maybe if like maybe we should just take a break or something, so that he could be on his A game, so that he could try to push himself out like further away from the brink of mid gold. Because although mid gold doesn't really matter in Overwatch, in this case it's a division, and that's where I'm gonna transition into to how League's ranked works, which is essentially there is a set rank 4, set rank 3, set rank 2, set rank 1, and then there's a LP based system, which is essentially the same thing, rank points. When you win a game, you get so and so LP. When you lose a game, you lose so and so LP. But then once you get placed in whatever rank you get, then you get the same boost of LP or huge decrease in LP or whatever. And then again, in this case scenario, if Adrian placed like gold, like 2, then he would like to know if he was either at 0 LP, 50 LP, 100 LP. We don't know, because the vAloRanT rank system doesn't tell us. What it gives us instead of numbers is we have Iron 1, 2, 3, Bronze 1, 2, 3, Silver 1, 2, 3, Gold 1, 2, 3, Plat 1, 2, 3, Diamond 1, 2, 3. Then you have Immortal, Radiant ?
You have Immortal 1, 2, 3, and then Radiant.
Immortal 1, 2, 3, and then Radiant, right? But in between that, you get slightly increased rating, greatly increased rating, moderately increased rating, or vice versa for decrease.
Mm-hmm.
How are we supposed to know how close we are to ranking up if we don't have any meter-based system to measure how much we're gaining progress by?
Exactly. Like, I had an experience where I had 2 somewhat okay games. I'm pretty sure team MVP in both those games. We lost, and it said slightly decreased. And I had one really, really good game above 30k again, and it said greatly increased, yet nothing happened.
Right. Like it would be nice to know where your stance is in whatever rank you are. And I think that's what makes this frustrating. Obviously, it's new, right? It's different from what we've seen, which would just be a normal rank up like numbers, and they want to like make things new and different and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like that's not one of the things that they should have tried to do something new with.
Exactly. Let's take Siege, for example. It is also based... Yeah, I mean, we can both explain. So Siege is based on the number scale, like as you said. Usually it's like from, like for example, 200 to 399. And from a ranked match, you usually get either plus 75 or minus 75. Like that's around the area you would get in. So you know where you are. Like if you're on 230, ranking down means you have to be 199 or lower. If you lose the next rank game, you're going down. If you win it, you're going to be pretty high. You're going to be on the top half of that rank. At least you know where you are. And at least you even know how much points you're going to go up or down by, which really helps people determining like, okay, I need to do this much better. Or I need to like take a break, maybe get back on my A game as you said. But with vAloRanT, it's just words with no meaning. That's what it seems like, at least.
Rank is just words with no meaning.
vAloRanT ranked is just words with no meaning.
Rank in any game is just words with no meaning. I mean, I can't say that I'm a casual.
Unless you're in the top 2 ranks, then it can mean something, because then
It means to play too much.
Well,
I'm
not
kidding.
necessarily.
I'm kidding.
It depends on like your sets, right? That's like, if you want to go pro, if you want to do this or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the general community. In my opinion, it's not terrible. Like, it's not that bad. It's just a lot of people that are like they're just competitive people. Like, that's what it should be in a lot of games. It's people yelling at you just because you're bad. It's like the reason why a lot of people are like get angry at other players or flame is because they care about the rank. Like, they're all just like, the rank is at stake, and so like they feel like someone else is ruining it because they're like inting, or they're not doing that well. But I feel like it's just that. It's not because they want to like hurt you or like make you never want to play the game. It's just because they care about the rank. I don't think it's the worst like state of the community, but I feel like it's not the best, it's not the worst, but it's like a decent middle.
Yeah. Like
I feel like yep, go ahead.
I've met a lot of people just playing unrated, and you can definitely find, like, more times than not, you can definitely find really fun people to play with.
Fine.
Yeah, like a lot of my friend list on Riot is just random people I've played Valorant matches with, and we occasionally play, and we have still some great times. And I guess that's something people don't realize or see on their own basis. Because when you're beginning, when I went on my Smurf account and had to basically start at level 0, basically no one used chat. No one used their mic. And I was like, okay, I guess this is what it's like. But like the only people who would use their mic is people who've been playing the game for a long time.
Or there's a lot of people that are just really shy. Like I had a couple games that I played. I just don't talk because other people aren't talking, or like I would say hello and then like no one would say anything, so I wouldn't say anything again. Round starts and I was like, "What's your game plan?" Like 4 people start talking, and I'm like, "Sick." We got a conversation started, and it just makes the general like gameplay of it like a lot better. I think personally, when it comes to like Valorant ranked, Overwatch ranked, and CS:GO ranked, if people are talking, if people are making callouts, and they're also like kind of like there's like a kind of like positive mental in the community, you're going to perform a lot better, which is where I personally feel like ranked, like I don't care about ranked as much because it's almost like a coin flip on your teammates, on your like how your performance, because depending on the environment you're playing in is going to like alter your performance a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because even if you can top frag with like your really toxic teammates that are doing really bad, how much better could you have done if that was a positive environment where everyone's trying to make calls and everyone's trying to help each other, where you could have gotten more intel? Like you lost a kill streak because you didn't know that there was a person like behind the box rotating from mid or something, and that kind of stuff. And I just like, and so it's like that in that kind of sense, it still kind of feels the same. It still kind of feels like a bit of a coin flip, but it's, I think, generally pretty good.
Yeah. I guess that's the problem with, I guess, playing Valorant, because you mostly want to play with your friends. But if you're going into like ranked, I get that's the reason why I'm gold 2. Because I was in a really lower MMR. Like even if I did good, or even that I did good, since I was in a lower MMR, it was like it didn't reward me accordingly. It's like, oh
yeah, so like even if you were doing like really good, like you would have to be like 30 to 50k like every single game from the beginning till ranked before like the game would like think about putting you in higher ranks. And that's something I want to talk about real quick is MMR and skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking exists in Valorant, and I believe they removed it in unrated recently. I don't know. Don't confirm that.
Okay.
But at least in beta unrated, there was SBMM, which is skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah.
Where essentially there is an MMR system in place, and this will check your KDA, your econ rating, your combat score, how well you do, and it'll place you against people with either the same or higher MMR, or not the same or higher. I believe it's the same or lower actually. That would make more sense. And MMR kind of like the reason why I hate it is because it's almost like a hidden rank of like how the game places you against other players. And what like makes me hate it even more is the fact that MMR starts from the first game you play ever.
Which is just really dumb.
Which I think is really dumb, because people that are learning, people that want to learn, are going to have their MMRs plummet because they're still learning the game. So they place like iron, they place bronze, they place like silver or max or something. And the reason why like a lot of pro players are like place like immortal or diamond or something like that is because they have a lot of game sense in those kinds of games. They play those kinds of games a lot, or they've like played in alpha when ranked or MMR wasn't a thing and they got their account reset, or like they've had experience in the past from playing that game because of special access, and then they got to play it with the ranked, but they already knew how to play the game in those unrated matches. Like that's where MMR I think is very messed up, and where I think that's why there's so many, especially because it's a free game. That's why there's so many cases of Smurf accounts, and why I feel like they're needed, because MMR, if MMR wasn't in place, we wouldn't have Smurf accounts. Or there was an idea that I talked with Adrian a while ago about, and that he was saying, is that what if we just made it so that for the first like 10 or so games, because you need to complete 20 matches of unrated Valorant before you can do competitive. What if there was like 10 or like 15 of those matches where MMR was never tracked? Where like if you wanted to learn the game, you have 10 matches at least that you can prep or something like that. Or there was like a category where this is like non-MMR tracked or something like that. And then if you wanted to try your best, you wanted to like increase or do something that alters your MMR, then you could go into like either that like matchmaking, or it would be like the last 5 to 10 matches. Then when you go into ranked, you at least would have a better MMR than from the first ever game you played. And I feel like that could make the experience a little bit better.
Yeah, of course. And like I have a first-hand experience of, I guess, the wreck of Valorant's MMR. I was just queuing for a ranked game. I get queued into the game. I'm like, alright, let's see the ranks. I match with relatively the same golds. There's like a silver 3, but mostly golds. Someone leaves, and I'm like, alright, fine. Go back into the matchmaking. I get ranked, my entire team is platinum. And there's a platinum 2 in there.
That's the other thing I forgot to talk about. What games do with placements and MMR as well is they almost kind of test you in higher MMRs, that even though that your MMR says something and it's not that MMR, they want to see, well, what would happen if we did put you in a higher MMR scenario? If you can do well in this higher MMR scenario, then that'll boost your MMR up there. But the thing is if you lose that, then that, for whatever reason, that tanks it. Even though it's putting, what it should be is like, if you put it above, then that means that if they lose that, then it would just be put back to normal. But it decreases it a little bit as well, which is what kind of doesn't make sense. And when you increase it up to that level, I feel like it's just, and the worst part is those are all people that have finished placements, so you're hurting their rank as well.
Yeah.
If like, you know, like if you're like a silver 3 and you get put in like a plat 1 match. So yeah, that's dumb. Yeah. But that's pretty much Valorant ranked. It's the general experience is going to be the same as unrated. You're going to have a lot more like focused and concentrated players that are going to try to do their best and all that kind of stuff. The general system is what's very finicky and what's a very big yike.
But that is just Valorant in a nutshell.
That is Valorant in a nutshell. That is a little bit more of a that's a kind of a yeah.
It's definitely gonna go places. Like, after all this quarantine, and once like esports comes back along, Valorant's definitely gonna be one of those games that'll take off.
Or once Valorant isn't just isn't just Twitch rivals or 100 Thieves or something like that. Then it'll definitely be a lot better, I think. And I think they can experiment with stuff as well. But yeah. That is pretty much Valorant.
Yeah, and that also looks like all the time we have today. Thanks, Ethen, for joining us for episode 2.
Muchas gracias.
Thanks, Carl, for sitting there in the background.
Of course, anytime.
Yeah. Of course.
I have nothing to contribute because I'm a filthy casual.
Of course. Well, you'll get there. Maybe you'll get there. I don't know.
Maybe next episode I can pop off.
Of course. Oh yeah, next episode. Yeah, we'll keep that.
Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we upload the next episode of the Bold and Brash Podcast.
You can listen to the podcast on Spotify. Link in the description. Also, make sure to follow all our other channels. Link.
Also, make sure to follow Ethen on Twitch. SeagNoEvil.
Stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at either 12:30 p.m. or sometimes I'll do an extra one at 9 p.m. However, the 9th through the 19th, I am going to be off. So I will be back on the 20th. From there on, my schedule will continue. But from the 9th through the 19th, I will not be active.
All right.
Nice. Well,
remember, kids, always be kind.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. All right,
always
go
be
ahead
kind,
with the
kids,
lesson.
Remember that. Because when you give love, you get love. All right? Remember that, kids.
Very, very good. We'll see y'all next week with another episode. See y'all.
Stay safe out there.
Stay safe, yeah.